The object enters Earth's atmosphere, without making a sound. No flames, no explosion, no shockwave. It simply descends, slowly, toward the city. Millions of people watch from shelters around the planet. Humanity has waited centuries for this moment. But somehow, the visitor isn't here for humanity. It's here for you. The enormous object stops above the city. Then, a signal appears. Not on a screen, not through speakers. Inside your mind, a voice speaks. You've finally arrived. You freeze. The voice explains that the civilization responsible for the object has been observing humanity for thousands of years. They watched humans discover electricity, build computers, create artificial intelligence, leave Earth, reach other stars. But they discovered something humanity never did. Time isn't as simple as we believe. The universe doesn't only contain places separated by distance. Certain events can echo across time itself. And somehow, your disappearance in 2026 became connected to one of those events. You were never supposed to wake up the next morning. You were pulled forward, through time. 1,000 years. Future scientists didn't create the phenomenon. They only found you, and completed the journey. You look around. Suddenly everything makes sense. Your perfectly preserved body, the ancient signal containing your name, the exact date of your awakening. This moment had been waiting for you for 1,000 years. Then the voice gives you a choice. You can remain in 3026. Scientists can repair your body, stop your aging, connect your mind to the technology of the future. You could travel between planets, see civilizations around other stars, perhaps live for centuries. You could become the first human born in one millennium to truly belong to another. Or, you can return back to 2026, back to your family, your friends, your ordinary life. But there is one condition. If you return, you may remember everything. The cities, the colonies, the machines, the civilizations among the stars. You would know what humanity could eventually become. But nobody would believe you. You look through the window one final time. Flying vehicles move between towers. Human settlements shine on the moon. Humanity has survived another 1,000 years. Not perfectly, not without suffering, but it survived, and suddenly, the future doesn't seem frightening anymore. It feels hopeful. You close your eyes. The city disappears. Then, you hear something familiar. An alarm. You open your eyes. Your bedroom, your phone, morning sunlight. The date reads, August 15, 2026. Only one night has passed. For several seconds, you wonder if it was all a dream. Then your phone receives a notification. An unknown message. No number. No sender. Only 4 words. See you in 3026. You stare at the screen, and realize something extraordinary. The future isn't written yet. But somewhere, 1,000 years from now, humanity may still be waiting for us. The red warning lights spread across the city. For the first time since you woke up, the future doesn't look peaceful. Flying vehicles disappear from the sky. Massive protective barriers rise around buildings. People move calmly toward underground shelters, as if they've practiced this before. You turn toward your guide. What's happening? For several seconds, there is no answer. Then a holographic map appears. Earth, the Moon, Mars, the outer planets, and far beyond them, the nearby stars. Your guide points toward one tiny red light. It is moving toward Earth. Then, you finally learn what happened centuries ago. Humanity's expansion into space had changed everything. By the time humans reached nearby star systems, scientists had discovered thousands of planets. Some were frozen, some were burning, some were completely lifeless, but a few had oceans, atmospheres, and conditions surprisingly similar to Earth. Humanity had spent centuries asking the same question: are we alone? Then, in the 26th century, the answer arrived. A human research station detected an artificial signal coming from deep space. It wasn't random noise. It wasn't a pulsar. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. The signal contained mathematics, patterns, information. Someone, or something, had deliberately sent it. Humanity responded, and decades later, another message arrived. For the first time in history, two intelligent civilizations knew the other existed. But they were separated by such enormous distances that communication took years. At first, the discovery united humanity. Wars declined, old political rivalries seemed meaningless. For the first time, humans stopped thinking of themselves as separate nations. They began thinking of themselves as one species. Then, more signals were discovered. Not one civilization, several. Some were only slightly more advanced than humanity. Others appeared to be thousands of years ahead. And one was so advanced that humans couldn't even understand its technology. Entire stars appeared to be surrounded by artificial structures. Planet-sized machines moved through space. Energy signatures appeared where no natural objects should exist. Humanity had spent centuries believing it would eventually become the most powerful civilization imaginable. Instead, we discovered that we might still be children in a very old universe. But something else happened. Earth slowly became less important. Not because it was destroyed. Not because it became uninhabitable. But because humanity had expanded everywhere. Billions left Earth. Some moved permanently to Mars. Others lived inside enormous orbital habitats. Entire generations were born between planets and never touched Earth's surface. By the year 2800, Earth's population had fallen dramatically. Large areas of the planet were returned to nature. Former megacities became forests. Oceans recovered. Species once close to extinction returned. Earth was transformed from the center of human civilization into something almost sacred. The birthplace of humanity. A protected world. That's why the city outside your window looks so strange. Only a small portion of Earth is still covered by enormous cities. Much of the planet has become wild again. Then the alarm suddenly changes. The holographic map zooms outward. Far beyond the moon, something appears. A gigantic object. At first, you think it's a spacecraft. But the scale makes no sense. It is kilometers across. Then tens of kilometers. The system calculates its trajectory. It isn't passing Earth. It's approaching it. You ask if it's human. Your guide shakes their head. No. The object entered the solar system years ago. Humanity has been tracking it ever since. No message, no response, no explanation, and now, after traveling across unimaginable distances, it has finally reached Earth. You look toward the sky. A tiny point of light appears between the clouds. Everyone around you watches silently. 1,000 years ago, humanity dreamed about meeting another civilization. Movies imagined invasions. Scientists imagined peaceful contact. Philosophers wondered what aliens might teach us. Now, you might actually witness the answer. But something doesn't make sense. You arrived in the year 3026, on exactly the same day that this mysterious object reached Earth. You ask your guide if that's a coincidence. This time, the answer comes immediately. No, your revival was not random. They didn't wake you because you were an interesting historical artifact. They woke you because of the object. Your heart begins pounding. Why would something from another star care about me? The hologram changes again. An ancient signal appears. It was received centuries ago. Scientists had never understood it. Until recently. Inside the signal was a date. You stand above the city, looking at a civilization that shouldn't exist. 1,000 years ago, humanity was still arguing about borders, energy, money, resources. Now, the world beneath you seems almost impossible. Your guide begins explaining what happened after you disappeared. The 21st century was only the beginning. Artificial intelligence advanced faster than anyone expected. Within decades, machines became capable of performing almost every repetitive human job. Factories became completely autonomous. Transportation no longer required drivers. Artificial intelligence designed buildings, discovered medicines, managed energy grids, and eventually began helping governments make decisions. At first, millions feared they would become useless. And for a while, the transition was chaotic. Entire industries disappeared. Careers that had existed for centuries vanished within a generation. But humanity adapted. People stopped spending most of their lives working simply to survive. Machines produced food. Machines built homes. Machines maintained cities. Energy became incredibly abundant. Poverty, as you understood it, slowly disappeared from many parts of the world. But technology changed more than civilization. It changed the human body. By the 22nd century, scientists had learned how to repair damaged DNA. Cancer became treatable. Many genetic diseases disappeared. Artificial organs became better than biological ones. Then came the breakthrough humanity had dreamed about for thousands of years. Aging itself could be slowed. At first, people gained another 20 years. Then 50. Then 100. Eventually, some humans began living for several centuries. You look again at the people around you. Suddenly, you have no idea how old anyone is. The person standing beside you, who appears to be 30, might actually be 200 years old. But longer lives created another problem. Population. Billions of humans living for centuries could not remain on one planet forever. So humanity looked upward. The moon became the first permanent destination. Cities were built beneath its surface, protected from radiation and extreme temperatures. Mars followed. At first, small scientific colonies. Then settlements. Then cities. Over centuries, humanity transformed parts of Mars into enormous enclosed ecosystems. But they didn't stop there. Mining colonies appeared among the asteroids. Floating habitats were built above Venus. Gigantic rotating space stations became home to millions. Human civilization slowly expanded across the solar system. Then your guide shows you something that leaves you speechless. A map. But it isn't a map of Earth. It's a map of human civilization. Thousands of settlements appear across the solar system. Earth is only one small point among them. And then, you notice several lights far beyond Pluto. You ask what they are. Your guide pauses. Other stars. Humanity had reached them too. Not quickly. Even future technology couldn't simply ignore the enormous distances between stars. But humans learned how to build spacecraft capable of traveling for generations. Later, far more advanced propulsion systems shortened those journeys. Human beings reached nearby star systems. Some never returned. New civilizations formed, separated from Earth by trillions of kilometers. And after centuries of isolation, they began changing. Humans born on Mars adapted to lower gravity. People living permanently in space modified their bodies to survive radiation. Others used genetic engineering, artificial organs, and cybernetic enhancements. Slowly, humanity stopped looking like a single species. Some people remained almost completely biological. Others replaced large parts of their bodies with machines. Some connected their brains directly to artificial intelligence. Others chose to live almost entirely inside virtual worlds. You suddenly understand why people have been staring at you. To them, your body is ancient, fragile, unmodified. Your immune system is primitive. Your lifespan is incredibly short. Your brain has no digital connection. You are biologically almost identical to humans who lived thousands of years before them. And then your guide asks you something unsettling. Would you like us to upgrade you? You laugh nervously, but nobody else laughs. They're serious. They can strengthen your body, repair your cells, increase your lifespan, connect your brain directly to the global information network. You could learn languages in hours, access centuries of human knowledge instantly, possibly live for hundreds of years. Everything humanity once dreamed about is now being offered to you. But accepting it would mean changing the one thing you still have left, yourself. You look down at your hands. These are the same hands you had in 2026. The same body, the same brain. The red warning lights spread across the city. For the first time since you woke up, the future doesn't look peaceful. Flying vehicles disappear from the sky. Massive protective barriers rise around buildings. People move calmly toward underground shelters, as if they've practiced this before. You turn toward your guide. What's happening? For several seconds, there is no answer. Then a holographic map appears. Earth, the moon, Mars, the outer planets, and far beyond them, the nearby stars. Your guide points toward one tiny red light. It is moving toward Earth. Then, you finally learn what happened centuries ago. Humanity's expansion into space had changed everything. By the time humans reached nearby star systems, scientists had discovered thousands of planets. Some were frozen, some were burning, some were completely lifeless, but a few had oceans, atmospheres, and conditions surprisingly similar to Earth. Humanity had spent centuries asking the same question: are we alone? Then, in the 26th century, the answer arrived. A human research station detected an artificial signal coming from deep space. It wasn't random noise. It wasn't a pulsar. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. The signal contained mathematics, patterns, information. Someone, or something, had deliberately sent it. Humanity responded, and decades later, another message arrived. For the first time in history, two intelligent civilizations knew the other existed. But they were separated by such enormous distances that communication took years. At first, the discovery united humanity. Wars declined, old political rivalries seemed meaningless. For the first time, humans stopped thinking of themselves as separate nations. They began thinking of themselves as one species. Then, more signals were discovered. Not one civilization, several. Some were only slightly more advanced than humanity. Others appeared to be thousands of years ahead. And one was so advanced that humans couldn't even understand its technology. Entire stars appeared to be surrounded by artificial structures. Planet-sized machines moved through space. Energy signatures appeared where no natural objects should exist. Humanity had spent centuries believing it would eventually become the most powerful civilization imaginable. Instead, we discovered that we might still be children in a very old universe. But something else happened. Earth slowly became less important. Not because it was destroyed. Not because it became uninhabitable. But because humanity had expanded everywhere. Billions left Earth. Some moved permanently to Mars. Others lived inside enormous orbital habitats. Entire generations were born between planets and never touched Earth's surface. By the year 2800, Earth's population had fallen dramatically. Large areas of the planet were returned to nature. Former megacities became forests. Oceans recovered. Species once close to extinction returned. Earth was transformed from the center of human civilization into something almost sacred. The birthplace of humanity. A protected world. That's why the city outside your window looks so strange. Only a small portion of Earth is still covered by enormous cities. Much of the planet has become wild again. Then the alarm suddenly changes. The holographic map zooms outward. Far beyond the moon, something appears. A gigantic object. At first, you think it's a spacecraft. But the scale makes no sense. It is kilometers across. Then tens of kilometers. The system calculates its trajectory. It isn't passing Earth. It's approaching it. You ask if it's human. Your guide shakes their head. No, the object entered the solar system years ago. Humanity has been tracking it ever since. No message, no response, no explanation, and now, after traveling across unimaginable distances, it has finally reached Earth. You look toward the sky. A tiny point of light appears between the clouds. Everyone around you watches silently. 1,000 years ago, humanity dreamed about meeting another civilization. Movies imagined invasions. Scientists imagined peaceful contact. Philosophers wondered what aliens might teach us. Now, you might actually witness the answer. But something doesn't make sense. You arrived in the year 3026, on exactly the same day that this mysterious object reached Earth. You ask your guide if that's a coincidence. This time, the answer comes immediately. No, your revival was not random. They didn't wake you because you were an interesting historical artifact. They woke you because of the object. Your heart begins pounding. Why would something from another star care about me? The hologram changes again. An ancient signal appears. It was received centuries ago. Scientists had never understood it. Until recently. Inside the signal was a date. August 14, 3026. And beneath it,